Hey, what's up, everybody? Mr. BuildWealth here, coming to you again. And as always, I'm here to share information and resources to help you get started with building wealth. Topic for today is the Smiths, and I wanted to do a little quick session around just my family. A lot of times people are asking me questions around like why I am the way I am, and why do I would say work with my clients in the manner that I do. It's just because of how I was raised. And I would say, some pretty good examples of like what it's like to grow up in a household where financial matters are discussed. I think that's where I get it. Just the fact that financial conversations have to be done, like they have to happen. And so my parents kind of started that probably well before I was born. And so again, I'm the youngest of three for those who don't know. And I think about like how they have managed their lives. And so now they are in their retirement years and they're just kind of enjoying life to the fullest. And I know it probably wasn't always easy. They probably didn't always have a ton of money in their accounts, but at some point they figured it out. And what I started to do as I got older was to just start asking those questions that I was curious about. And one of those was like, how did you all figure it out? Like, how out of everybody in my family that you two people from the neighborhood that you grew up in back in Durham, like why you two? And I don't know if there's something in the cards for them or the universe or whatever you believe in. Like, out of all the people in the family, like, how did you two figure it out? And what I began to see is that it wasn't anything mind-boggling. Like, my parents always kind of kept it simple. And I think I've shared this story a lot before around like how I learned about credit. It was a 10-minute conversation with my mom. I've never had bad credit. I was 19. She gave me the talk. It was legit. I've never had bad credit. Investing. I started early. Met my dad's financial planner, or one of his financial planners, and it was just, I didn't fully understand what I was doing, but I was in the room. Still made some mistakes in life, still didn't, I had to learn, so I had to learn some lessons on my own. But again, he was putting me in that room with people who would be able to help me in life. So when I look at people's family situation, it definitely matters like who you were born to, and maybe I just got lucky that I was the third kid that they had figured some things out with my brother and my older sister, but they just weren't afraid to keep trying stuff out. And I think that's the critical part as to what I learned from watching my parents is whatever they didn't know, they sought out the expert. Like, they didn't have all the technology that we have today where there is a Google and you can literally go look up anything. Or they didn't have a YouTube with this how to do whatever. Like, how to is a whole series on YouTube. You can figure out anything just by watching videos for free. So, my parents didn't have that luxury. So they physically had to like talk to people, go meet with people. And so I don't see why my generation can't figure it out when you have these people who back in the day didn't have anywhere near the advancements in technology that we do. And so I challenge a lot of people on like, why can't you figure it out? Because my parents did. Are they that special? Probably not. There are millions of people who figured it out and have retired well. And I want that for everybody. And so again, as I got older and, got into business, I would ask these questions. And, for one, I tell the story all the time. Like, my mom she's not a big fan of the stock market. And I have tried my darndest to send her information, ask me questions. We've had some good heart to heart discussions, some heated discussions. And I haven't been able to convince her that the stock market is a great place for her money. So she's of the thought that I don't want to risk it. I don't want to lose it. And so I've explained to her that, well, if you don't put any of your money at risk, you can't make any money. So when your bank or credit union isn't paying you a lot of interest, which they're not doing these days, you can't get upset. And so we've had that discussion. And so I get her way of thought, and I've learned why she is the way she is. Now, I don't like it, but it's my mom. So I think having my dad has been very helpful for her, because if not for him, she wouldn't have taken any risk. And so that's always a problem in my book, to where I'm like, I'm glad they're together, because they kind of balance each other out. So my dad is a lot more risky. He is willing to dabble in investments, and he's not afraid of losing a few dollars. So that's where they kind of balance each other out. And you're going to have that probably in every relationship, where one person is more willing to do something financially versus the other. So, it works out for them. So on the investment side with my dad, and I've had to talk to him about like why he invests and what he invests in, and why he invests a certain way, and why he has a team of people he works with. And so I've witnessed him have these people in his life. So when I share with people around the fact that you need a money team, I'm telling you because I've seen the success as a result of you having it. Like, I'm not just telling you to have a team of people around you to help you with all things financial, but I'm watching a living example of what it's like to have a team. So I've talked to my dad about like why he decided to work with an advisor, why he invested in certain things, why he didn't invest in certain things. And he would always tell me like, yo, here's what I understood. Here's what I didn't. Here's what I was interested in. Here's what I wasn't. And he knew that he would be able to make some decent money by having, certain types of advisors in his life who could, work with him, who fit him, right? So your advisors, whoever they may be, the people on your money team, like they need to be a good fit. And so he spoke through like why having these people is beneficial. So I like to occasionally ask them these questions, because I'm just curious as to, again, how can these two people figure it out and you can't? With all the advancements in technology, with all this, I'll say, education we have, we're very educated, but not in the realm of money. Like, we don't speak that language very well. And so we're still having people do things that are putting our families in jeopardy, or we're not doing things that are putting our families in jeopardy. And we're continuing to perpetuate generational poverty. So you're making a good wage, you feel like you got all these degrees, but you don't have a lot to show for it. Or if you unexpectedly passed away, what would you be leaving your family? You tell me, what are you going to leave them? Well, they worked at this company and did this and they made a lot of money. And I'm going to say, so what did they leave you? Bills? A headache? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So I want us to think about, how are we having these conversations with our family? And again, I'm fortunate enough to have parents who are still in my life, who are still together, but who have been willing to share. See, we don't talk about money in society. Therefore, some of us will be wealthy and get rich and sustain it, and others will continue to struggle because we're just not having the conversation. But again, I talk to my parents about this, so like, it's legit. I've watched them from my lens and seen what success looks like. And then I see two people who are, in their golden years, and they're just living it up. And as long as they're healthy, they don't have a real need for money. Like, could I interest you in that type of a lifestyle? And so as I continue to build and at some point hopefully have a family, like, I want to instill those same things in my family and even my community, my friends. I just know that people want that type of a life where they're just not stressed so much. And even if the worst happens and you die unexpectedly, just know that there's more than enough to take care of the final expenses and then some. But how many of us are planning that way? So thinking about like my mom and dad's dynamic with talking about the finances, I know my dad probably leads a lot more. And, I've told my mom about this. Like, my dad is probably going to die before her. Even my dad had said that. He's like, I'll probably die before her. So it's not that we joke about it, but we have the plan to support it. So we're not worried if something does happen unexpectedly. We're not scrambling. Like, I know where their documents are. It's a stack of paper. I've read through them. Like, I know what, again, I have two other siblings. I know who gets what, who's going to take care of what. I know about how much we might get left, after they spend it all while they're still alive. But at least we're talking about it. Like, I think that's the part where you have to decide as a family, if you're not going to leave a ton of assets, whether that's cash, stocks, real estate, businesses, if you're not going to leave all that stuff, will you leave the playbook for your children in terms of teaching them how to amass all of those assets? Pick one. If you're not going to leave them the assets because you're just, for whatever reason, not wanting to be generous, will you leave them the playbook on how to build the wealth? I'll take either one. But for the real ones out there, they do both. There's some money left over, some property, a business. The kids get the instructions. Like, it's pretty, like, it fits, right? Doesn't that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, let me know. But I hear people say, I don't want to leave my kids anything. I'm like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Like, my parents said they're going to leave us something, but they want us to value, like, life. Like, you need to also put up and do something. We can give you a little bit of a head start, and we can help you while we're still living, but don't expect just, you to achieve all your dreams based on us. Like, you got to do something. And so they've instilled this, we're going to leave something to help you out, but we're going to also coach you and teach you how to fend for yourself. So even with this money, these assets that you may inherit when we pass away, we know you got something up here. Like, you won't blow it. Because I hear a lot of parents talk about, well, I can't leave my kids anything because they'll mess it up. Well, that's your fault. You didn't teach them. So my parents have taught me. They talk to my brother, my sister. They talk to all of us about these things. And so it's not too hard for us to have a conversation about money, ever. So I'll challenge all of you to have that conversation with your family, your parents, the elders. Just how far will you go for your last name? And I've heard people say that before, and I want to go very far. And I know all the work that my parents done, they get an incredible round of applause. I have to do one better. My brother, my sister, we're supposed to do a little bit better. That's the whole point. You set it up. Your kids do a little bit better. Their kids do a little bit better. Then a little bit better. Then a little bit better. Then a little bit better. And that's what we call generational wealth. So if you're living on this, you're not going to talk to your family about money. You're not talking to your family about success. Just know you are perpetuating generational poverty, and you're not thinking about creating generational wealth. And I'm going to challenge all of you to think a little bit tougher, think a little bit harder, be willing to take that step and be courageous enough to have this conversation with your loved ones, because the Smiths are having it. And I know that with my niece and my nephew, they're going to do even better than I'm doing, because we're going to equip them with the information. Okay? So with that, I'll leave you all with that. And, if you're still kind of on the fence about what you need to do and need some help, I'm here to help you out. Hit the link in my bio, schedule a 15-minute call. Let's just talk. If you can't do it by yourself on your own, you need to enlist the services of an expert. And maybe I could be that expert for you. But, that's up to you. I'm here to help if you need me. And as always, I'll be back with some more good material and content to help each and every one of you who watches this to, do all the things you want in this life. And hopefully you're on this same boat with me, because we have to do all that we can to disrupt generational poverty. And I know I can't do it by myself. All righty? Catch you all next time.